Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in a new what if called, What If Jon Arc Was a Mandalorian Part 1. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this what if. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 1. Flashback. 8 years ago. Jon, why won't you train me Dad? Richard. Jon please it's for your own good. You don't have the talent nor the skills to be a huntsman. Just listen and give up on that foolish dream. Jon cries and runs to his room. Jon, why just why? If I can't reach my dreams here I'll look somewhere else. Jon was preparing to leave until his grandfather blocks the door. Garin, and where do you think you're going young man? Jon stops what he's doing. Jon, nowhere. Garin, I know that look in your eyes boy, come with me and we'll talk. Jon followed his grandfather to his room. Garin, I heard you argument with your father, that boy was never in keeping with our family's traditions. You want to be trained. Jon nod his head. Garin, will you bear with the hardships I will put you through? Jon, I will make you proud grandpa. Garin, at least he has more backbone than my son ever did, he thought. Garin, alright I will train you, but it will be in the ways of our ancestors. Jon, I will do my best. Garin, no Jon do your best and beyond that. For 2 years they trained in the ways of old, when Jon took the rite of passage he did with the skills of a master. Garin, you have passed all your trials, you have conquered your fears, you have surpassed your limits and you kept your integrity. I bestow upon you this medal as your reward for your sacrifice. Jon, so this chunk of ore is Beskar. Garin, yes and you will forge your own armor. Jon, can't we go to a blacksmith to make it? Garin, no, only our family and its ancestors know of where to gather the ore. And it is our most carefully guarded secret. Now I will teach you the ways of the forge, come with me. I know this is not Star Wars but I love this quote and I don't know of any creed that the Mandalorian stand for so I will make one using these from the Warhammer universe. As Garin spoke as he forges the armor alongside Jon. Garin, at the founding of our line, Mandalore the First said these words as he established our line. Mandalore, they shall be my finest warriors, these children that I bear, like clay I shall mold them and in the furnaces of war forge them, they shall be of iron will and steely muscle, they shall be immune to disease no sickness may blight them. Garin hits the metal. In great armor shall I clad them and with the mightiest guns they shall be armed. You'll also like, clang, they will have tactics, strategies and machines so no foe may best them in battle. Clang, they are my bulwark against terror. Clang, they are the defenders of mankind. Clang, they are my Mandalorians and they shall know no fear. Final hammer strike, and it is done. Garin, it is time to leave your mark on the armor, young man. Jon's new emblem based on the ancient ways. Garin, now your weapons. A blade made out of pure Beskar. Asterisk, dual DL-44s. And Mandalorian vambraces. Garin, now you're prepared to face the world. Jon, thank you grandpa for everything. Garin, I always believed in you my boy, now go and make us all proud. Jon finally sets of his journey. Jon was to walk towards Vale encountering Grimm to test his mettle. To visit villages to help them to test his integrity. And to observe others' battles to test his mind. 3 years later. Jon comes across a fallen village. Jon, damn it doesn't seem like anyone survived. That is until he heard a cry of a child. Jon investigates and find a Faunus child's no older than 6 years old crying over the bodies of her parents. Jon approached the girl turned to see Jon. Please help my mama and papa. Jon checked them for vitals and shakes his head. Jon, I'm sorry girl they're both gone. The child sobs. Jon let her grieve for a while then helped bury the bodies. At the graves. Jon, do you have any relatives? No I only had mama and papa. Jon looked at the child with a somber expression, finally making up his mind. Jon, do you want me to come with me? The girl turned to the man and asked why. Jon, because I'm alone too. The girl knowing she has no place to go decided to follow him. Okay. Jon, what's your name girl? It's Lilith and I'm a bunny Faunus. Jon, that's a cute name. Well Lilith do you want to join me on my adventure? She nods and the two began their own journey together. Present time. Bullhead. Lilith. Wow what is this place? Dad. John. This place is called Beacon. Chapter 2. Bullhead. Two girls could be heard making noise. But John and Lilith just appreciated the view. As they exit, Lilith just wander around in awe as John followed her. Until a large explosion got the father and daughter's attention. They investigate only to find a girl in a red hood laying on a crater. John. How's the weather down there? Ruby. Hi. John gave her a helping hand. Ruby. Thanks. John. John, the name is John Ark. Ruby. Well, hi John, I'm Ruby Rose. They walk across the courtyard. Ruby. I have this. Ruby deploys crescent rose with pride. John. I'm a unique weapon choice, difficult for regular people to wield, but you seem specially trained. Sniper rifle modification to compensate for lack of force. Ruby. John noticed himself being too serious and apologized. John. Sorry, I was trained in ancient ways, so I have a habit of studying new things and getting too engrossed with analyzing. Ruby. Okay, what do you have? John. Modified weapons. I don't believe in mecha shift weapons, sorry. Ruby. WHHHAAAAT. But mecha shift weapons are the best. John. Not if you're a bounty hunter, such weapons are an easy weak point to exploit. Ruby shuddered knowing this person knows how to break mecha shift weapons. John. Don't worry, I only do that when I'm working. Ruby. Oh, do you know where we're going? John. Yeah, we're going to the auditorium. Ruby. Okay, then Ruby notices a small girl walking beside them. John. She's my daughter Lilith. Ruby. Later at Beacon Auditorium. Ruby. Hey, there's my sister. See ya, John. Ruby disappeared in a storm of petals. John picks up Lilith in his arms. John. Let's get a closer look, Lilith. Lilith. Yay. Unaware, a pair of green eyes was looking at them. No changes to Ozpin's speech. But Ozpin looks intently at John as he left. Beacon Ballroom. John puts his armor and helmet in the bag and carried with him to get some sleep. He doesn't trust the place enough to be secured. John and Lilith enters and see most of the boys posing to get attention. John moves past them, rolling his eyes. Muscle heads gives men a bad name. John looks for a quiet place to get Lilith to sleep. He sees a quiet enough space near a girl with a bow reading a book. John. Excuse me, is this place taken? Blake. No, but please be quiet, people here don't get the concept, do not disturb. John. Believe me, I know what that feels like, living with 7 sisters. Blake looks at him mortified. Blake. How did you survive? John. A massive amount of patience. John sets up his and Lilith's sleeping bag. Blake curiously looks at the duo. Blake. John looks at her staring. John. Oh. Where are my manners? My name is John Ark, and this is my daughter Lilith Ark. Blake looks at the girl and saw she has a rabbit cottontail. Blake looks at John and confirming he's a human. Somehow that put a smile on her face. A human father and a faunus daughter. Blake. Oh, my name is Blake, Blake Belladonna. Blake simply observed the father-daughter duo. John began reading from a book he took from his back. Looking at the book, it seems pretty old. John. It was the time when at the darkest moment on Remnant came a man who led the faunus to freedom. Despite being human, he still cared about his fellow man. The people rejoiced at their savior as they chant his name, Mandalore the Just. Lilith finally sleeping. All the while Blake forgot about her book and listened to John's never-heard tale. John tucks Lilith in. Blake then talked to John silently. Blake. I've read so many books, I never heard of this human hero for the faunus before. John. It's not a published book, Blake. This is the history of my family that has been around for 4,000 years. Blake's eyes widen. Blake. Your family is that old? John. Yes, although our name changed through the ages and split to multiple families. But we preserved our history as some of my ancestors worked as government officials and historians. Documenting and recording our history along with remnants. This book I hold as the record of journals of my warrior family. Blake. Wow, that's a precious book to you then. And I thought I love books. John. At first I read from this to inspire me to be better. But when I had Lilith, I use it to teach her the discipline and moral code my family lives by. Blake. You really love her? John. She's my entire world, I will fight the world for her. Blake smiles genuinely. For a human to love a faunus this much, it gives her hope that one day her dream can come true. Suddenly 2 girls approach them. RWBY. Hi there. Blake looks at the girls. Blake. Hi. RWBY. What book is that? Blake. A Man with 2 Souls. RWBY. I like reading books too. My mom used to read them to me. I like the hero who saved the day and helps people. John just smiles at her. Blake. Isn't that a bit childish? RWBY. That's why we're here, right? To make a difference. Blake and John looks at her and just smiles. You. RWBY. You. John suddenly saches them both. John. My daughter is sleeping. Keep it down. The 3 girls looked down and saw a little girl sleeping and lowered their voices. Weiss. I came here to give you this and don't bother me again. RWBY looks at the book Dust for Dummies. Young. Whoa, let's just start over here. RWBY. I was trying to say I'm sorry, and can't we just be friends? Weiss. Yeah, and we can have a sleepover, and we can paint our nails and talk about boys. And Weiss looks at John like tall and scruffy over here. John had enough. He was taught to respect others, and this brat who's aiming to be a huntress who is supposed to be humble and compassionate is treating a possible future teammate so poorly is utterly disgusting. John stood and marched to them. John. No, you listen here, RWBY is trying to apologize and try to be friendly. And you're here just being insulting, not to her but to me who has nothing to do with me. RWBY. John. Hey, crater face. RWBY suppressed the urge to yell to correct him for the little girl. John. This immature behavior is appalling. Weiss. Why? John nods to Blake to blow out the lights. And the night just passed. And tomorrow will be the start of initiation. Chapter 3. Beacon Lockers. John. My locker should be around here. Stay close, Lilith, and don't wander off. Lilith gave him a mock salute. John just chuckles. As they came across the corner, they see the rude girl from yesterday talking to a red-headed girl. John. Excuse me, can you please move? I need to get to my locker. Weiss looks at them indignantly. Weiss. Excuse me. Do you even know who you're talking to? John gets annoyed. He's dealing with a spoiled rich kid. John. All I'm asking is for you to move. I said excuse me and please. If you were raised in a barn and don't have manners, that means move aside. Weiss, looking scandalized, huffed and left with the girl who looked at the pair. John. Sigh, if I ever get on the same team with her I will lose brain cells. Lilith. Papa, why was that girl so mean? John. Honey, that is not how you should behave. Lilith. Okay, Papa. Beacon Hills facing Emerald Forest. John walks toward the platform and hands over custody of Lilith to Glinda, and she gladly accepts. Skip Ozpin's speech. Ozpin. Well, I hope you all have a landing strategy prepared. One by one the students were launched towards Emerald Forest. John's launch was delayed and he looks at Ozpin. Ozpin. Mr. Ark, I received your grandfather's recommendation letter. Don't worry, I know of your lineage and I wish to employ you at a later time. John. As you wish. But look after my daughter. If anything happens to her I will burn this place down. Ozpin. I know that's a promise, so I'll watch over her diligently. John was then launched. Glinda. Is he the Mandalorian you spoke of during your previous lives? Ozpin. Yes, I have worked with many of his offspring. They only appear when Remnant is facing a grave threat. Back in the sky. John is soaring, then suddenly he caught a spear flying into him. John then ignites his jetpack and watched the unknown assailant. John then landed in the forest and made his way through the temple and encountered his would-be assassin. John. Are you here to finish the job and remove a potential rival? Pyrrha. Oh no. I thought you didn't have a landing strategy. I tried to stop your fall. John looks at her and senses no deception. John. Impaling them to a tree might be misinterpreted, you know. Pyrrha. I'm sorry. John. So partners. Pyrrha. Oh yes. John. John, my name is John Ark, simple and easy to remember. Pyrrha. My name is Pyrrha Nikos. Hoping he doesn't put her on a pedestal. John. Neat, let's go. Pyrrha. You really don't know who I am. John. No, I lived on the road so I had no information on current events in civilization, so forgive me for my ignorance. Pyrrha. No. I was just afraid you would. John. Put you on a pedestal. You're not the only one. Pyrrha. John, never mind, let's get to the temple and find those relics. Pyrrha, okay. They reached a cave and John made a torch and entered with Pyrrha. Pyrrha, I don't think this is the place, John. John, Pyrrha, I just made a torch, please humor me for at least 5 feet. They got close to a cave wall and saw a painting. John, this place appears to be a prison. Pyrrha, how do you know? John, I'm a study of history, judging by this cave paintings an ancient tribe of people drove a death stalker into this cave. I suggest we look somewhere else. They exited the cave only for 2 other initiates to enter. Temple. Blake and Yang were already there and got their pieces. John and Pyrrha just arrived. Yang, oh hey, there, picked up a lady on the way, her lover boy. John, please save the jokes when we're safe, we're still in grim territory. Yang just huffed, party pooper. John and Pyrrha took their pieces. Then they heard a scream, then looked up, RWBY was falling. John, she's falling. Yang, RWBY. John used his jetpack to catch her. Everyone was shocked to see a real-life jetpack being used. RWBY opened her eyes and she blushed, John carrying her princess style, and then landed. RWBY, wow John, you didn't tell me you got a jetpack before. John, you never asked. RWBY, ha, ha. Then they heard another scream. They see Weiss falling. John did the same procedure only to be further irritated. Weiss, put me down, you ruffian. John then drops her. Weiss, what was that for? John, you asked for it, now shut up. Then they heard another set of noise. It was girl and a boy riding a Ursa running away from a death stalker. Nora, coming through. The Ursa crashed and died. Nora, it's broken. Blake, did they seriously rode an Ursa? Weiss, look out that Nevermore is coming back. John, you 2 girls grab your relics now. Ren, wait a minute, I'm not a girl. RWBY, I got this. RWBY speed toward the Grim but was stopped, her cape got pinned by Nevermore feathers. Suddenly the Nevermore sent another barrage. Yang, RWBY. Then ice appeared and blocks the feathers. Weiss, you dolt. Stop acting like a child. RWBY, I just wanted to show you that I can do. John, not the time, we need to find a better place to fight these 2. Fall back. They ran towards the ruins. John, alright, those with long range focus on taking that Nevermore down. The rest will take on that death stalker. Weiss, who put you in charge? John, do you have a better idea? Weiss couldn't even argue. RWBY took charge of Weiss, Blake and Yang and handled the Nevermore. John, does anybody have explosives? Nora smiled and converted her hammer into a grenade launcher. John, distracted by bombarding it. You, Ren, the name is Ren. John, shoot its eyes out. Ren complied. John, Pyrrha, shoot its legs to keep it balanced. The team took to their tasks. John took to the skies and fired on its back using dual DL-44s until he found a crack and used his missile launcher on his jetpack and killed it. When they turned around they saw RWBY decapitate the Nevermore. Later, Ozpin, and Cardin Winchester is now leader of Team CRDL. Applause. Ozpin, and the leader of Team JNPR, John Arc. Applause. Nora hugged John with him glancing at Glinda just playing with Lilith and smiles. Ozpin, and the leader of Team RWBY, Ruby Rose. Applause. Yang put her in a headlock. Yang, that's my sister. Weiss looked irritated. John knew that look, he's just gonna deal with another migraine. Ozpin calls him over. John leaves the group and meets with Ozpin. Ozpin, greetings Mandalore. John, I have yet to be given that title Ozma. Ozpin just smiles. Ozpin, good to see you still hold your ancestors' standards. But I wish to hire you to protect someone. John, and that person is Ozpin, Ruby Rose. And this at the end of part 1 this new What If. Hope you guys like it. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.